All right. What's up, guys? I think I'm ready. Oh, whoa. I think I'm ready. So, back by popular demand, as in one person, uh, I'm doing some short fiction. Uh, I had a commenter on the YouTube channel suggest that I read The Way We Live Now on by Susan Sontag. And it was actually already on my list, so I was gonna do it, but I decided to just bring it up a little early. So I'm gonna do it now. And all I really know at the moment is AIDS, and AIDS and stream of consciousness. That's all I know. I know Susan Sontag is actually. Oh, and I also know that Susan Sontag is not so much of a fiction writer. I think more of an essayist. So I kind of want to start with her first before I get into this particular text, uh, just to see kind of where her political sensibilities may lie. That might help. But one of my lessons from the previous text, which was the Raymond Carver, is that I should probably keep it more zippy. You know, I've just been thinking too much as I read, and it's like more than I normally would, and I think that's actually hurting my reading. So I'm going to try to drop the level of analysis and thinking as I do this. Hopefully, that's more successful for actually generating the energy to like enjoy the work and engage with the work. Duh. Notes on camp. Notes on camp. Notes on camp. Notes on camp. Kitsch. Camp. Notes. When it became a thing, pop art. This is just at that time as pop art was emerging, right? And the way we live now. But she had, I guess, she kind of thought about aesthetics quite a bit, huh? And that was on photography. But against interpretation, this is something I think I remember. Nah, I don't. I don't. I don't. Interesting. Pornography. Photography. She was critical of the Vietnam War, the siege of Sarajevo. Photography, culture, media, AIDS and illness, human rights, and leftist ideologies. One of the most influential critics of her generation. She actually went to same school as me. Did not know she was we shared the alma mater. Honestly, white civilization as a cast. I was actually about to leave the Wikipedia. Oh my lord, I'm not even sharing the Wikipedia. I'm such a noob. Okay, I keep doing this. Right, I'm a terrible streamer. Okay, let me try to make this work. All right, let's use these keyboard shortcuts that I just made. Bam? Bam? Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm trying to get used to this. So, earlier I was literally just reading into this. Okay, I was just referring to this stuff. Man, I'm such a noob. But anyway, notes on camp, all that stuff. I'm not going to repeat myself. It's going to make for bad content. I'm trying to get better at this stuff. And I was about to leave the Wikipedia page. I was about to leave it when I kind of just landed here. White civilization as a cancer. And this is kind of just interesting. I just want to read this. So let me read it. Right. We're anti colonial here. Yes, we've had these great accomplishments, but we've definitely upset the ecological balance of the planet and the existence of life itself. Interesting. Maybe not so much. It is kind of anti-colonial sounding, but it seems to be focused more on the ecological aspects. But this is such a brief Wikipedia uh, excerpt that it's hard to really know what she thinks. People on the left, like herself, have told a lot of lies. Interesting, interesting intellectual energy here. Just being willing to draw the boos and shouts by saying, "Hey, we're the right." Hmm. I, I was too young for this, but I kind of wish I'd known this when this happened. All right. I've Interesting that Taleb criticizes Sontag for not having skin in the game. Hmm. Interesting. Criticizing boomers criticizing each other, right? Here we go. The way. Oh, actually, now that I think about it, we could just start with the Wikipedia article for this one. But yes, AIDS, was I correct? Yes, AIDS. Beginning of the AIDS crisis. It's claiming members of the New York cultural elite. Fragments of conversation mentioned and whispered by numerous friends of an unnamed man who lies sick in a hospital bed. Ooh. Okay, first, it sounds very challenging. But it is stabilized by the unnamed man who lies sick in a hospital bed. Hmm. It's a signature work in the literature of the epidemic. And, I have an embarrassingly low exposure to kind of the literature and the art of that time. Honestly, all I can think of is Rent. I think I know enough to go with this, but um, I do want to get into Goodreads for a second, just because I do find that reading through some of the positive and negative reactions on Goodreads tends to um, like, give me something to hold on to when I'm reading. And is this gonna all be yes English? Not sure what to make of it. Brought me to the edge of tears, emotional torment because of my dad. I see. It's very self-reflective here. Okay. uh okay. Well, okay, we're critical. Run-on sentences mimic the panic. As a reader, it's tiresome, incomprehensible, just noise. Small pages is fine, but 30 pages too much. Yes, this is the trouble. This is the trouble. This is the trouble. Let's see. Absolutely brilliant. Made me think of Lower Manhattan. Nah. Okay, it's very ghostly is a fun word, but very. This is very much like a briefly impressionistic comment. I can't really gain much from that. The challenge here is dealing with that ongoing. Oh yeah, oh yeah, go nerds. Okay, so the challenge right now is dealing with that stream of consciousness. That's what I'm sort of right. That's the thing that I think everyone's gonna struggle with. Um, so I want to hear what he got from this. He or she, because Alex could be a she. Someone dying with the TV on. That messes me. That messes with me. I like this line, but I don't know how to explain it right off the cuff. Um, this is hard to read, yo. But uh, the actual focus is the effect of the illness and the morbid mythologies that evolve. The comparison is made. The comparison between what? The reader will become uncomfortably familiar with his friends. This comparison. What is this comparison? Symptoms. Okay, this is okay. Here we go. Is a novel in 30 pages. No clause is wasted. Personal encounters supported. The difficulty in this and many other instances was this quest often sent me back several pages. I began this comment by offering many thoughtful that sent me back in the search for the beginning of the sentence so that I could appreciate it for a second time. Oh man, you know what? I didn't get too much from this. We're talking about like the technique of it and the. Ugh. I'm just finding it dense. I'm gonna move on. Let's find someone with a hey 3 out of 5. Let's go for this. While the style doesn't appeal, it has the desired effect of building up a society around the same. Okay, this I feel sane thinking about this because that's very similar to what I was responding to earlier. You know that having it all around that one person, right, connects and threatens in the age of COVID. Of course, it threatens, and I wasn't even thinking about it. But yes, everyone is. That's an amazing sentence, Thomas. It's an amazing sentence. You're right. There's fear of others, a sense of rolling blame, horrible, paranoiac circus. No one knows how to deal with it. It's photographically prophetic. Yeah. No, that was a great review. I kind of get it just from this. I feel like I get it just from this one review. Okay, that was really helpful, Thomas. Everybody follow Thomas on Goodreads. All right, it's kind of a joke. Here we go. Let's go to the iPad. All right. And this is just so this is I'm just thinking about how to make this reading experience better, or sorry, the viewing experience better for people. But I think if you're watching this not live, but if you're watching this recorded, it's good to. It would probably be good to just pause, read the amount that you feel comfortable just reading, and then resume. Presumably, you want to not watch me read the whole thing, so maybe resume at 2x speed or use like a Chrome extension or like an extension on your browser and then get into like 2.5x speed. And then listen to my reactions fast forwarded. So that's at least what I would do if I were you. If I were watching me, if I were watching me. So I would probably read like a page or two, feeling like try to digest as much as I can, and then compare it against this other person's reaction, like Saul's reaction. So that's my recommendation for this. I think we can get started. All right, the way we live now. Max, Ellen, Greg. Now, I already suspect right there. So the transition I had to make just now is I had to make a transition from Max and Ellen to a different person, Greg. Okay, and I'm not even sure if Greg is even in this scene because at least my natural reaction as a reader is to imagine that this is a scene. But knowing that a stream of consciousness maybe it isn't a scene, maybe it's multiple scenes blending into each other. But I just had to say Max, Ellen, Greg out loud to be like, okay, people. And then I realized maybe this is just three names out of like 50. There might be a lot of names. So I'm already noticing Tanya, Orson, Quentin, Paolo, Jan, Kate, Steven. Okay. We are probably, I mean, maybe it might be worth it to, to kind of track every single character, but I'm sure, at least on the first read, that is going to be overkill. That is going to make this reading overly, excruciatingly painful. Just thinking about who said what, I think it'd be too much. I think I would like the way that this text is asking me to read, or at least the way I feel that this text is asking me to read, is not to remember every single name. So that's the first clue I'm having right now about how to read this. Managing to keep on working. He's working. He did stop smoking. Frightened. Healthy. Gained back some pounds. Now I'm trying to figure out. Okay, yeah, he didn't know he had cancer at this point. For he told her, Tanya went on. So we're still at Tanya. Oh, and that's Tanya's introduction. No, 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 that's not Tanya's introduction. So I'm trying to figure out this Tanya, right? The reason is because I'm trying to see kind of like the syntax and like are the sentences gonna kind of build into a structure? And should I be paying attention to the structure of the sentences? So this word for kind of tripped me up, and so I'm kind of dealing with that right now. But he did stop smoking, Tanya pointed out, which suggests he was frightened, but also that he wanted said Orson. For he told her. Tanya went on. So Tanya and Orson are talking to each other, I think. Very hard to actually parse that. That four is messing me up actually pretty hard. But I think I'm gonna move on. It's more impressionistic, I think. I'm just gonna get that feel, right? That feel of that information about him, our main character. Oh, I don't know why. I'm just stuck on that four. Maybe just to gain back a few pounds for, said Orson. Maybe that's the thing. And then he told her, Tanya went on, that he expected to be climbing the walls. Ah, or to be healthy or healthier for, he told her, that he expected. I am okay. You know what? Forget the four. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna move on. I don't think it's worth it. Isn't that what people say? Climbing the walls. I wonder if that has like some weird symbolic meaning. Climbing the walls. Isn't that what people say? Are we gonna climb walls? Are we climbing the walls of anguish here? Um, I don't know. And found to his surprise, he didn't miss cigarettes. He's being healthy for the first time in years. He did have a good doctor. Stephen wants to know. Did he have a good doctor? Stephen wanted, since it would not have been crazy not to go for a checkup after the pressure was off. Conference from Helsinki. Academic person, maybe academic or writerly type, or some sort of researching type. And even if by then he was feeling better, right? Stephen's worried, and he said to Frank that he will go to the checkup, I assume, even though he was indeed frightened. Oh, I'm overwhelmed. Even though it was as he admitted to Jan, but who wouldn't be frightened now, though? Odd as that may seem, he hadn't been worrying until recently about the Kenton. It was only in the last 6 months that he had the metallic taste of panic. Right, We're building right now panic. And people are worried. It happened only in the last 6 months. And one thing that's kind of a sort of like a sinister sort of undertone is that you never really know when AIDS hits. It seems like any other illness, and suddenly 6 months ago, the metallic taste of panic. The metallic taste of panic. That's a good phrase. It's something that happened to other people. A normal delusion, he observed Paolo. I'm having some major deja vu right now. It's tripping me up. I don't think I ever read this though. I definitely didn't read this, but that line. It's because becoming seriously ill was something that happened to other people. A normal delusion, he observed Paolo. I don't know. I'm kind of vibing with this, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much of this I'm vibing with, and I don't fully understand why. If one was 38 and had never a normal yeah had never had a serious illness, he wasn't a hypochondriac. Of course, it was hard not to worry. Everyone was worried, but it wouldn't do to panic because there wasn't anything one could do except wait and hope, wait and start, and being careful, be careful and hope. And even if one did prove to be ill, one shouldn't give up. They had new treatments. Research was progressing. It seemed that everyone was in touch with everyone else several times a week, checking in. I've never spent so many hours at a time on the phone, Stephen said to Kate. And when I'm exhausted after the 2 or 3 calls made to me, giving me the latest, instead of switching off the phone to give myself a respite, I tap out the number of another friend or acquaintance to pass on the news when I'm exhausted. Right, people do call. It is that's how you respond to death. I'm not sure I can afford to think so much about it, Alan said. I suspect my motives. There's something morbid I'm getting used to getting excited by. This must be like during the Blitz. I'm not at risk, but you never know. This thing is totally unprecedented. Don't you think he ought to see a doctor? Stephen. We do have stable personalities coming out. Stephen is coming on with that insistence about the doctor. So you know what? We are getting personalities. You know what? I won't totally ignore the names. We're getting personalities. Here's what I'm getting. I'm getting maybe I'm jumping the gun. But right now the feeling I'm getting right now is that we're just sort of showing the texture of this is like a impression abstract expressionist painting kind of maybe. I don't know. We're just showing the texture. Okay, we're gonna have Steven be like this red color that's kind of coming through. I'm not really an artist, so I don't actually know how to describe. I'm not an art critic. I don't know how to describe this, but we're gonna have Steven's texture coming through. Right now we had Ellen. I think Ellen was the one who's all calling everybody, right? So we have Ellen who's gonna be, coming through, um, and we're gonna have the texture of worry, the texture of concern, the texture of 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 fear, of paranoia. We're going to have the texture coming through. And I think that's what I'll be focusing on. I'll be trying to stay close to the feelings while I'm reading this. Oof. Okay, here we go. I mean, right now that's the key I have. The key I have is to be part of this texture, like to feel it out, right? To not let it just become white noise. All right, this is I already read this. Eileen is trying not to be worried. Totally unprecedented, said Frank, a little bit intellectual there. Orson, and what makes Orson trying to be the voice of reason. That's why they won't go to vote. nothing one can do. But is there anything? He said to Tanya, according to Greg. If I'm really ill, I'll find out soon enough. I'm moved by that. I'm moved by this ending. I'm moved by this ending of this first section because Stephen's neuroticism, his sort of ongoing worry, is has he been is one of the strongest currents that kind of pushes me along this first section, and we don't have it from him like directly, like first person. He is reported to have said, right? We get it through the through the through the grapevine, but we do get his final. It's his words that are final here. If I'm really ill, I'll find out soon enough, and that has this sort of sad, and it's actually pretty emotional for me, because first that mentality is a little bit of defeat. Maybe defeat's not the right word, but if I'm really ill, I'll find out soon enough. It's like that sort of fuck it like attitude. It's like you don't really want to know the worst. If it's the worst, let it happen. I don't really want to know in advance. Because you get that, and then this soon enough has like two layers of resonance for me. The first is just it's just the meaning. It's just the thing that he said, but also soon enough in terms of for me, I'm just thinking about the rest of the story. I already know he has it, so it's this is sort of like setting up the rest of the story. We're gonna find out soon enough how bad it really gets, and we're gonna hear it not from him directly most of the time. We're gonna hear it from the people around him. We're gonna see how it affects the people around him. So right now, you might be noticing I'm just like skipping through. I'm just trying to imagine, how many roughly how this story is organized. So it's a bunch of sections. It's a bunch of these little vignettes. So this is like we get these moments to breathe. In a way, it's kind of like really long line poetry. Every single line of this poem is like a entire like page long. So it's kind of how it'll read. And then at the end of every line, you breathe. And hopefully, then what that means is that Sontag will try to surprise us and move us and try to generate some velocity or do something with the velocity anyway with every turn, with every section. Okay, I think I can move a little faster. And then he did get into the hospital. Come on, so? Yes, we get to the news right away. I thought it might take another couple sections, but we got to the news right away, and he's in the hospital right away. Ira and Quentin are having like a little competition. The flower is throwing him into a bad mood, and we're all confused about it. Oh, the exaggerating I missed. You couldn't have crammed another. Surely you're exaggerating. But surely you're exaggerating, Kate said. Everybody likes flowers. So Quentin is being a little. In Korean, we say 예민해. I can't think of the English word right now, but he's being sensitive. He's being there's a better word in English, but I can't remember. So with tears in his and Quentin, okay. Chocolate. I mean like chocolate, but not chocolate. Aren't you exaggerating now? Jelly beans. I mean, that was lighthearted enough and just sort of touching enough. It's like the kind of mundane thing that you worry about. You want to make him feel good. So flowers, licorice. So I'm just reading these two sentences. He didn't want to be alone. Lots of people came in the first week, which suggests not a lot of people came afterwards, which makes me think about later on at the end. Does it get, I don't know how, honestly, I don't know much about AIDS, so I don't know how long it takes for, the inevitable death to come. But does he get more lonely over time? It's just one of those things that I'm thinking about. And probably, right? Isn't that what happens? He's well loved. Lots of flowers. He's not even segregated. A few years ago. So this is the first sort of comment on society, and that might be another turn that might be a way that this story could develop. Maybe we kind of over time we start getting more of a picture of society, right? When AIDS first became diagnosed, they would have these warnings segregating their AIDS patients, but now a couple years has passed and it's no longer like that. And maybe I should know, you know what, it might help to know about the transmissibility of AIDS. I mean, let's figure out. How come? Okay, I see. Let's go and let's get rid of the rates. That's the problem. This is an ad. I just clicked on it, but okay, whatever. Oh, God. Poorly optimized websites, very slow. Let's go. CDC, 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 help us. Okay, let's start with not transmitted because I feel like that might just get away. Huh? Okay, that I clicked on the thing, but it kind of went somewhere else. It does not survive long outside the body, so it's not transmitted via saliva, sweat, hugging, social kissing, through the air, just through other sexual activities that don't right. So it requires body fluids. Anal, vaginal, needles, syringes, or drug injection. Okay. Okay. Oof. It's pretty much sexual. All right, let's go. I sort of missed something, but someone is avoiding going. You really should go and see him. He'd be happy. He likes having people. Of course not. Oh, we're reassuring Eileen. Eileen, the one who was trying to make herself. Eileen's a little, a little neurotic, a worry wart. She'd been in love with him for years. I see. Should feel better that if there could have been a woman friend, he did more than occasional. He was great with Nora. Then it couldn't have been she. That's I find this not boring at all. Like we're just expanding in the experience of like people around him, and there's heartbreak now. So we're getting I'm just expecting like every single thing to be some new angle, some new little minor drama that happens when someone is not dead yet, but is dying. Hmm. Oh, I don't know why I just like zoomed through without barely understanding what was happening. Okay. Stephen was, yeah, he would be. He knew one of the doctors, but his doctor said little more than that the pneumonia was not life-threatening. The fever was subsiding. He was responding well. So optimistic. Funny metallic taste. Ooh, that comes back. So this doctor is being like sort of like a Cheerio, he's being very peppy, or she. I don't know if it's a he or she. Reassuringly curt and silver-haired specialist was talking like some old fangled country GP. Right. We're worried. That is worrying, which might mean that they were just going through the motions. That they weren't sure. They're just kind of processing him. The doctors didn't really have any hope. We're reading into the doctor's intentions now. Oh no, I can't stand it. Wait a minute. Hang on. I just okay. Wait, hang on. What just happened? Okay. So I'm realizing something. I'm realizing this pattern of me sort of missing it and just forcing myself to go on, and then I'm realizing, oh wait, I totally missed something. So let me correct what I was saying earlier. I think the way to make the story open up to you is kind of there is kind of like a main character or two per section, and so just finding who the main character is for this section, just sort of gives me something to work with. Um, like the previous one is about Steven and that doctor. Steven's like very knowledgeable, and this doctor is like overly optimistic, and so we're all worried, right? That's kind of what happened just now. But once you get the characters and like kind of the idea, then it's pretty easy to move. It's pretty easy to proceed. So at the very beginning, I think I should really intentionally slow down at the very beginning of each one of these sections. Slow down. Lewis is worrying. Someone else is out. Lewis found out very late. That also happens. And we're doubting Lewis. Betsy's defending. That seems to be the way we live now. You know, just because that does connect with the title, and that's, you know what? And this does kind of clinch it with that earlier review I read, you know, about the way we live now in this state of anxiety. The title, the review from Goodreads, and now this quote just coming out by Betsy. Of all people, it's Betsy. That's our insight about society. Now, what are we going to do with the way we live now, the title, after this point? And, maybe nothing. Maybe it'll just be more illustrations of the way we live now. The way we live now in fear of this death. It's so specific. It's so specific. I mean, he must have had, money, because he's at the penthouse of a former commercial building. So probably not. So it's not a residential, but like large, probably large. Offices are larger than houses, uh, and taller, uh, and they don't have a doorman, which is so strange. I don't know housing enough to know what that means really, in context. Seems like he was wealthy though. Motel rooms, Schenectady. Gobbling that damn chocolate. Gobbling that damn chocolate. I don't know. I. This scene is painful. It's, low grade painful to me. No, I don't know why I can't use my finger on. Okay, but there we go. Success. I highlighted. Hmm. The Byzantine icon wasn't on the wall. Stolen it. That the boy had recently gotten rid of had stolen. He's an art collector, so very wealthy. Kate shuddered. He loves beautiful things. Kate is moved by just that characteristic of the guy who loves the beautiful things, and he's generous. Oh, and they were talking about it as if he was part of the past. Okay. So we're advancing in this story. Perhaps he's getting tired of having so many visitors. And it's so fun. Before I even read the rest, it's so funny. It's like one of those things. Like when someone is dying, you don't really know how often to go. At some point, how often should you go? And when they become physically ill over time, talking less, reacting less. You can't tell if they really want you, and you get all awkward about it. How close are you to that person? Yeah, it's a those are all considerations that make the whole situation awkward for you. Meanwhile, a lot of patients get depressed, and it's so complicated, right? I mean, it shouldn't be, but it is. And anyway, I'm gonna go on. Maybe I'm maybe I'm revealing myself too much. We're doubting Robert. His spirits had dipped. He seemed to prefer being alone. Plus the usual remorseful assessments of his past life. He's writing. His will to live kind of more than anything else. Thanatos. Oh, devil. Thanatos. The thing that's about to. So this is an interesting. The introduction of his internal struggle now. We haven't had this yet. His will to live versus the death instinct towards Thanatos. And we're in his thoughts right now. Hmm. I don't know what happened, but I just zoned out and I missed like the second half of this. Let me catch up. The point was that he was accumulating something to reread. In which he might not actually. This one's a little tough. Slightly staking out his claim to a future time in which the diary would be an object. During this time, he might not reread it because he would want to have put this behind him, but it would be there. And he could already. He did actually say, framing one corner. He could and he did see himself in the penthouse, the October sun streaming through those clear windows instead of the streaked one, and the diary, the pathetic diary, safe inside the drawer. This is that diary is like that symbol of the death that he had met, and he can imagine himself. This is his will to live winning out in this paragraph, which makes me sad already preemptively because I know his will to live is going to get weaker over time. But at this paragraph, it's his will to live that's living, that's winning, and he's going to write this diary, he's going to put it in that stupid drawer, and he's going to forget about it because it's in his past. And that's what he's imagining in the future. That's touching. I think that's touching. I think that's moving. He's winning right now. See, and you see that? Now I'm feeling like nervous about what's gonna happen. God. Oh, my neck hurts. Give me a sec. All right. Oh. All right, let's get going. Okay, I zoned out for a second. Again, every first sentence, I gotta catch it. Okay. Treatments, side effects. Okay, we're advancing the treatment. We're past the 21 days. Now we're doing other things. So Stephen is on the side of the treatment, and Hilda might not be. I'm not, or maybe Max is not. Isn't everything a side effect? Quick, Ira. Even we are all side effects. But we're not bad side effects, Frank said. We have this moment of humor. He likes having his friends out. It's this is what I mean by texture, though. You get texture. What do I even mean by texture? It's like such a specific little metaphor to use that I guess in college you use. But what's texture? Something doesn't have texture when all the characters kind of are smooth and slick, right? That's the opposite of texture. When they sort of behave exactly as a model would predict that they would behave, but here you get the hope, the nervousness, the fear, the selfishness, the envy, the jealousy, the humor. You get all of that. This is not, I don't know. I personally am not having a hard time really reading. I mean, obviously there's like technical aspects of like breaking down sentences. That's pretty difficult, right? That makes this harder to read. But I'm not so worried about catching every clause. Yeah. So like that one reviewer said, every clause has its meaning. I would not listen to that as practical advice for the first read. Maybe later on, if you're like a scholar of Sontag and you're going to really analyze this, I don't even know though if Sontag would have put every clause grammatically constructed it all together to have some sort of deeper meaning. I feel like that's a stretch. Maybe not. I, but I think you would destroy your reading of this story if you try to get every single clause. I'm not trying to get the clauses. I'm just trying to get the positions. What is this person feeling? What is that person feeling? What is the new topic? What is the new thing that happened that is creating the situation? Those are the kinds of questions I'm asking myself. And I find this I'm absorbed. I'm absorbed in this story. I'm not 100%, but it is still tough, but I'm absorbed. And I like this joke. We are all side effects. I'm going to save it, in fact. And isn't everywhere. Even. You understand what's really important. I agree, Chicken Little. Is a way of our trying to define ourselves more firmly and irrevocably as the well who aren't going to fall ill as if it couldn't happen to us. Even though Max is this Max? Quentin. Oh, this is Quentin. This is Quentin. This is Quentin. Quentin is being philosophical and rather depressing. Oh, Zach was another guy who was ill. He didn't come very often. He said, "Oh," and Eileen is self-effacing, and Zach might have actually had AIDS too. And now this text it's sort of reaching out beyond just this his little society. We reached out towards a couple years ago when the hospitals would segregate, and we're reaching out towards Zach, someone else who had the same thing. We're gonna keep reaching out, and we're gonna define the way we live now. The we is getting broader. The we is gonna get broader. That's my prediction right now. I might be wrong. Maybe it'll stop at Zach, but I think if Susan Sontag wants to keep developing this, she's gonna keep broadening the we. Oh, I zoned out again. Every single sentence. Okay, every first sentence you gotta slow down and give it 100. I'm just I don't know what's happening. Okay. And after this, got to volunteer to go cooking meals. Oh, that's the okay. It took me I don't know why it took me, and after he was sent home from the hospital, I don't know why it took me so long to parse that, but he is now home. That's the thing. Quentin is helping, keeping the mother informed. Her oppressive ministrations. That's such a great phrase, and I don't even really know this word. Should be formal. Her right. Well, mainly. He was able to work. Keep in shape. You could have gotten the disease 2 years ago, but now so many people are working on it. Everyone's wanting that Nobel Prize. There will be a treatment, so we have this hope, which, in retrospect, we know how that ends. There is no cure. My timing is good. It's kind of a sad sentence. Yes, he said, Stephen said. My time is good. He'd have the sense to refuse. Visualization therapist? Macrobiotic. Oh, because it's like a diet. Trying to. A fad diet. He's always been lean. He shouldn't be. Blithely or not so blithely feasting on these chemical additives and pollutants. That's a. Blithely since we're healthy. So far. So far, Ira with the wit, with the caustic wit. And I was totally wrong at the very beginning. These characters, I actually get attached to them over time. I'm kind of knowing them. Not all of them, but I know them just through their couple words that just sort of pop out. That sort of arise from this ongoing sentences, these ongoing sentences. Chocolate cake. He's hardly eating so much chocolate. Protocol for the new drug. Less about he's not a victim. He's with a disease. Hospital, boy, I hear hospital. These sort of verbal jokes slash, commentary. It's so we have like this generally educated um, social class, this upper social class, and they're fretting and fretting and fretting and fretting, and we know it's not going to go well. But I guess how do you stay connected with the story? You just you just feel that hope, that they're trying to hold on to. And you just try to hold on to that same hope. Even though you just hope for them. Because it can happen. It can happen to the poor. It can happen to the rich. Um, well, let's go. Yeah, as if it's no big deal. You've accepted. You've accepted being mortal. And by accepting it, you are willing to fight for your life. We mustn't lag behind in honesty. And Tanya is saying something very wise. Yvonne is going back to London. No one is shunning him, afraid to hug him or kiss him lightly. In London, we are, as usual, a few years behind people I know. Right, Yvonne is bringing that international perspective. Cool and rational, from her perspective. You find us cool. I find it very hard to read. Reading is his television. But I don't feel hysterical. I feel Lewis feels hysterical. How I wish I could stay longer. It's rather beautiful. I can't help thinking this utopia of friendship you've assembled around it, this pathetic utopia. Yvonne gets to say these things because she's far away. And so she's almost romantic about it. And it must be a little bit annoying to someone in this group. Tanya saying dropping the wise words, man. Yes, don't you think we're more at home here with him, with the disease, said Tanya, because the imagined disease is so much worse than the reality of him whom we all love, each in our own fashion, having it. Sexuality is a chain that links each of us to many others, unknown others, and now the great chain of being has become a chain of death as well. Is this Tanya? Is this Ellen? Ellen. I forgot about Ellen. I don't remember Ellen. I kind of want, because Ellen is saying something pretty depressing. I kind of vaguely remember this one, right? Oh, Ellen was the one who was exhausted with all the phone calls. Okay. She's self-aware and she's sort of she's like a critic. She's talkative about these things. She thinks out loud and she's like a critic. She's like a writer. She the great chain of being has become a chain of death as well. One thing that's impressive about the story at a technical standpoint is just how many different personalities are coming through. A lot of personalities are coming through. And they feel different. They feel different from each other. In fact, they feel so different that I don't even have to try to actively remember names. I'm terrible at remembering names. I just hear this person talking and I remember who that person is just because it feels like that person, even though I don't remember the name. Like Ellen was kind of a miss. I kind of vaguely remembered Ellen, but the other characters, I just sort of remember them. Ira, the witty one, right? Like I just remember them because they feel so embodied. That's actually really impressive. I'll never feel that way again, that fear again. He doesn't seem different from me. He's not, Quentin said. And that's a powerful sentence because you also don't really know how Quentin said it. Quentin's a little bit on the bitter side, right? He's kind of like he says a lot of pessimistic things. And he's a little cynical, so he might have said it with some edge, some attitude. Kind of like, who cares about your fear? Or maybe. So so yeah, Quentin. I kind of like Quentin too. I mean, man, let me just see roughly how many sections are we going for? Okay, are we halfway through? Maybe a little more. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm catching my, trying to get my place again. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm slouching. Give me 1 second to to deal with some minor administrative thing. Hmm. Vaguely. What? The name of this YouTube stream is all messed up. Huh. There's an error on this. Okay. I just discovered this. Very weird that happened. I specifically remember. Hmm. It's frustrating. Okay, technical issue. Moving on. Okay, we're focusing on Lewis. Now I forgot Lewis. I forgot Lewis. He talked more often about those who visited more often. Competition. Getting on Betsy's nerves. Vulgar jockeying for position. And I did predict this, right? Some of us are dropping out. Of course that would happen. We're rivals for a sign from him of special pleasure. We want to know that we are the most wanted. Oh, man. We, snarled Kenton. And is it so clear? Our ex-lovers. Which one of us he prefers, Victor said. Now it's us, raged Quentin. Eileen. Hurt but passive. Somehow deserved. He sleeps. More than most of us. It's okay, he told me. He told me he put in a call to her last Christmas Eve. It was shattered. If maybe he had her phone, Nora. I think he wouldn't want her to know. And Nora's the one he loved, right? I will double check. The one that he loved more than Eileen. Crazy about Nora. Yeah. And he started asking everyone who visited how he looked, and everyone said he looked great, so much better, which didn't jibe with what anyone had told him at the time. Harder to know. Wanted to be honest. To prepare for the worst, because he'd been looking like this for so long. At least it seemed so long. How did he look before? Kind of wish there was a little more description of how he looked. I kind of want to imagine it more. And that was true, but wasn't it? Well, almost heartless to talk like that. Seems inoffensive. And Bryce said according to Quentin, oh, I don't like to think about it that way. Frank. Thinking about it from the perspective of someone who's dying, who's upset. Maybe we're sort of avoiding the upsetness of our friend. So important for him to live in truth. End of the world feeling. Too many people were getting ill. 2 others. This is that great chain of being becoming the chain of death. valuable people. It's such a loss to the culture. But this isn't going to go on forever. They have to come up with something, like we were saying about COVID. But I mean, which is, it's better. It's the other thing that some people don't die. Even if you can keep them alive, they, muttered Kate, they continue to be carriers, and that means if you have a conscience, you can never make love. But it's better than dying. And that's a cost. It's people aren't really imagining what it's like to live with AIDS. They just wanted to live. I'm starting to get a little tired. Maybe it's just because it's 1:40 a.m. and that I didn't sleep that much. I'm a little tired of high society right now, just fretting. I want something more than just high society fretting. I'm not sure what. Maybe, like I said, maybe expand the wheel a little more. Or I want... Right now, I just feel like we're fretting. We're just worrying. So let me try to remind myself what's going on here. Just before, we're worrying about him taking care of himself but not actually getting any better. And now about the two people who are also sick. Okay, so that's what's happening right now. Let's keep going. If he didn't die, he never mentioned that whatever happened, it was over. The way it lived until now, that's over. He did think about it. The end of bravado, the end of folly, the end of trusting life, the end of taking life for granted. Treating life something like he thought himself ready to throw away. Right. It's living life post-AIDS would not be the same life at all. And Kate recalled sighing. Banquet. What is a banquet? Is that like a bench? It is. Okay. Toking up for their next foray onto the dance floor, she said hesitantly, a prince of debauchery, to take it easy. She wasn't keen on playing big sister role as something inspired in many women. Are you careful? Being careful, honey, you know what I mean? I can't. Sex is too important. Always has been. He started talking like that, according to Victor, after Nora left him. And if I get it, well, I get it. He must feel awfully foolish now, like someone who went on smoking cigarettes. But sex isn't like cigarettes, is it? And Lewis is upset. You just have to be unlucky once, and wouldn't he feel even worse if he stopped 3 years ago and come down with it anyway? You don't know when you contracted it. It could have been 10 years ago. That is named. I think a lot about that, Seth. Who knows how long? And who knows? I know what you're going to say, Stephen. How many are going to get it? Lewis. Thank you. Lewis with the anger. Actually, that's like perfect timing. I literally just said I was getting tired. I wanted something. And Lewis brought it. And it's painful. It's painful. Who knows how many? That little detail about him being the prince of debauchery. And then Lewis adding this next detail that it could have been around for 10 whole years. And who knows how many people he killed. It's heavy. That's real. We're talking about the ways he talks about himself. How American is it, Paolo? Okay, let me just finish wrapping up my hair. Okay. Max. Huh. I wonder if Max. Wasn't Max actually one of the people who were talking? No, we're on page 118, right? So that should be around. Yeah, Max was talking as Max told it. As right. I mean, I don't remember Max too well. But yeah, he was one of, and now he has it. Oh, dude, yes. That's that development. This is that slow unfolding. No warning. So many forms. And everyone is wondering. And after the previous section, now we know everyone's wondering if they already have it. And they're all just wondering if they already have it. It's horrible. He asked Quentin where Max was. Spring in the Bahamas, but then that was the feuds had resurfaced. Lewis and Frank. By seeming to take them all for granted. So realistic, yes. As if it were perfectly normal for so many people to carve out so much time and affection, visit him every few days, talk about him incessantly. But according to Paul, he wasn't less grateful. It was just something that he was getting used to, the visits. It's becoming an ongoing party. It being clear that I'm on the B list, but that's absurd. There's no list, and there is. It's not he, it's Quentin who's drawing it up. He wants to see us. We're helping. He mustn't be told about Max. But he already knew, according to it's getting worse. He fell down on the way to the bathroom. Okay. I didn't get too much from that section. Let's move on. Falling down a black hole. Felt like giving into death. That's an evocative. But here in the hospital, I'm less afraid. He's back in the hospital. I missed that in the first 4 words. He's back in the hospital. The fear rips through me, it tears me open and tired, presses me together, squeezes me. Fear gives me everything. It's huge, it's high. Exalted, he said. Calamity is high. So he's coming up with all these different words to describe it. Am I going crazy? And that's such an interesting little literary conceit, having the dead person or the dying person. I said that, oh my God. The dying person be kind of a literary character and tell every single person his new version, his new metaphor for describing his feeling. But from the writer's standpoint, that's just the writer speaking to us and throwing out 12 different metaphors. And so when the writer gets this license because of the format of this writing, it's ripping, it's pressing, it's amazing. It's an amazing high, powerful, crazy, child's dream, drugs, fantastic, bad taste in the mouth, the pressure, the back, the red, the pink glow, the breathing, his pallor, chocolate, white chocolate. And among those who wept when told over the phone he was back in the hospital with Kate and Stephen, who had been called by Quentin and Ellen, Victor, Aileen, and Lewis, who were called by Kate, Xavier, and Ursula, who were called by Stephen. Among those who didn't weep were Hilda, who said that she just learned that her 75-year-old aunt was dying of disease, which she confirmed from a transfusion given during her successful double bypass of 5 years ago. Oh my God. That's so horrible. This didn't mean that they weren't moved or appalled, and Quentin thought they might not be coming soon to the hospital. Was impressive as he was flowers and plants. The high tide of barely suppressed acrimony the last weeks at home. No more casual dropping by. The mother's here now. But no issues. It's we who mind. The hospital gives you your role. Collective. We should be collective and funny and distracting on demanding light. It's important to be light. For in all this dread there is gaiety too, as the poet said Kate. I've never been so. Kate is that sensitive one. Kate is so sensitive. Afraid of what my eyes show, the way I watch him with too much intensity or phony kind of casualness, said Victor. Waking up from a nap. Who couldn't think of anything to say? You're the story, Kate said. A tribute to Eros past. Saint Sebastian. Oh, I see. Upcast eyes and open mouth. I wonder if there's a particular meaning. So that's a blowjob joke. Like a blowjob inside joke. Protector against pestilence. So I guess there is that meaning. Pestilence, obvious, maybe not obviously, but pestilence being, kind of a metaphor for AIDS in this case. He didn't die. The fascination of the dying. It makes me ashamed. We're learning how to die. I'm not ready to learn. And Lewis, where Max was still being kept. But Tanya getting out of the elevator. Averting their eyes from the other patients. The thing I can't bear to think about, Tanya said to Lewis, is someone dying with the TV on. Okay. He has a strange, unnerving detachment now. Now he seems to be. He's so sweet now, and that's worrying for them. Nice. So we're having hope again, and it's crazy because right now having this hope again made me feel exhausted. That he's rallying, It made me feel exhausted. But that feeling is so realistic. I mean, that's the exhaustion you do feel when someone is dying. He's about to die and then he's not about to die. Spidery, less legible. That is scary sounding. Hmm. Wandered. Story and a painting photograph is that so you can write. He's still alive. You can't show still. You can just show him being alive. He's still alive, Stephen said. Wow. What a interesting comment on art. You can't show the adverb still unless you do it in a story. Oh, and that is the end. He didn't die. Whoa. It ends on a comment on art. And it ends with him not dead, which is a huge shock to me. And I actually was ready to keep reading more. I wasn't tired enough to. Whoa, whoa! What was that? What was that? And I just highlighted it, thinking, "Oh, what an interesting observation." And that was the end. I wasn't ready for the end. Is that does that mean I didn't read this very well? I wasn't ready for the end. Let me think. His handwriting is getting spidery, and that's horrifying. It is a little scary. And this is so self-reflexive. The difference. Huh. The difference between a story and these things is you can show him being still alive, and he ends the story still alive. Okay, I'm not really getting anything out of that right now. I'm not really getting anything out of that right now. But what I am getting, it feels like almost like a joke. Like, it feels almost tongue in cheek. It's like he's still alive. Gotcha. Kind of feels like that to me. I don't know. Maybe that feels a little cheap though, and I'm not sure if that's a great ending. I don't know how I feel about the ending yet. I don't know how I feel about the ending. It's such an interesting observation, but is this a good ending? You know? Huh. So I thought that we were going to expand the we, but we didn't really expand the we that much. It stayed firmly centered on him, on our main character. And you have the society, contracting, expanding, fraying around him. You have his society. And at the very end, he cuts back into the hospital, and now we end on this hope, this bit of hope. And so I guess there's that sort of suspense there that he's nice again and detached and unnerving, but he's getting better, and his mom is going back home, and things are supposed to be good, but we know it's not. But it is good that he's still alive. What I can say is that doesn't give me like a massive emotional blow. to read that last line. It gives me that sense of, it's like, it's so realistic, and well, realistic is such a crappy word, but like, it's so real, it's just, it leaves me in the same place that they are in, that his friends are in. It leaves me unsettled. He's going to die, but he hasn't died yet. He is still alive. And that's the way we live now. Always with that minor tension, that low grade, ongoing tension. Do I have it? How do I show him my love? But other people are also dying. How much time do we carve out? Who is the closest to him? Who is he most happy to see? This ongoing sense of worry. Let me go back to that last sentence. He's writing, he's writing, he's writing. And that other symbol of his writing, that thing in that journal, that thing that represented his will to live, that journal, that diary or whatever, that journal that he's going to put away in his drawer, it's becoming nonsense, like illegible mess, which has like almost like a horror movie feel in a way for me, like, and it would be devastating to see that, to see the handwriting, the secret handwriting become a total mess. It's so dark. I guess that's the that's the crunchiness of that particular last couple sentences. You get that darkness from him, about to, like, from him clearly getting worse, and then you get this observation, still alive, and you just stay suspended in that middle. Do I like this story? I mean, I'm impressed by the story. And I was engaged with the story. I don't think I was devastated by the story. I didn't end this story with like this harrowing purging of emotions. That it wasn't that dramatic for me. But it's very memorable. Would I reread this? I was just thinking about death. Would I reread this? I don't know. It's so real. I don't know. Do I want to? I guess one thing that might be hard for some readers is, this is still in that rarefied, it's definitely like high society, it's definitely people that in this day and age, we're not showing a lot of sympathy for. And so, the sort of cynical thing to say would be, who cares? Rich people, you could say it like that. And I do kind of sense, like with AIDS, I'm sure the truly devastated didn't have access to the experimental medicine. So I kind of wish, maybe that's what it is. I kind of wish the we were expanded. Kind of wish the we were expanded. That Sontag had expanded the concept of the way we live now to touch more on a society beyond this person's society. So I do think that's a little, that might have made the work. I mean, who knows with these counterfactuals, but that could have resulted in a really beautiful work as well. And I think I want that. I think I want that. That said, those people really came through. These people were real people to me. They were real people to me. Their worries were real worries with me. Their anger was real anger to me. There were some parts where it did feel a little slow for me, but I could. They had their signatures. They felt like real things, you know. And I felt those feelings. Yeah, that was that was a very real experience of death. Honestly, I don't think I would read this again, not anytime soon. But it's good. It's good, and I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it. I think I think if you want to read this and really connect to it, you know, the best tips I could give is, again, worry less about the syntax, about, you know, parsing all the sentences and whatnot. I would worry less about that. Focus more on just who is feeling what. What is the situation that has just arisen? Because Susan Sontag doesn't narrate what happened. It's through their words that you have to infer what happened. So get the situation down and feel the feelings. And get the situation down and feel the feelings. Every first sentence, get the situation down, feel the feelings. And do I like that it ends with him still alive with that sort of self-referential comment about storytelling? I don't know. You know, we know that Susan Sontag was into aesthetics. She had that book or that essay on photography. We know those notes on camp and everything. The commentary on art, I don't know what to make of it, honestly. I don't. I don't have, I can't fully formulate my own thoughts on it right now. If I'm missing anything that you guys can think of, please share in the comments. I'd, uh, I'd love to have my eyes opened to the story. All right. Well, that was The Way We Live Now by Susan Sontag. I'll see you guys in the next one.